there. So why not experiment? You can only learn from losing in this series, in my opinion.
Right, but going back to the original question, where does Ben Stokes bat?
Yeah, I've drifted. But as I said, a floater. He's a floater for me. Ben Stokes is carded wherever Sky Sports card him, and if he needs to come in at 4,
But I have a
then he
question for
moves
you.
up the order and comes in at 4.
And again, this isn't suggesting anything, just merely playing devil's advocate, but just this is purely statistically speaking. If Ben Stokes has to bat at 6, okay, maybe potentially could move up to 5. Maybe that could be something England explore. Owen Morgan did bat at 6 in the IPL for Kolkata. But if you're going to bat Ben Stokes at 6, as I said, has a 136 strike rate. We mentioned about him coming in at the death, Joe. His strike rate is still only 157, which isn't bad by any means. But you compare this to the likes of bona fide finishers. Andre Russell has over 200. Hardik Pandya has 190. Colin de Grandhomme has a 191 as well. So what role is he playing in the team? What role is Ben Stokes? What niche is he actually playing in the T20 World Cup? Would it not be better for England to actually get another finisher in there? A Liam Livingstone, for example, a Moeen Ali, a
Well,
Sam
he's not a
Billings?
finisher. Again, that's the thing. Liam Livingstone has been used wrong by England, in my opinion. But obviously, he's not played for years. But when he did, he was batting in the middle order. Liam Livingstone's an opener. At the start of the Big Bash, he batted, I can't remember if it was 3 or 4, but didn't bat in the power play and barely got any runs. Then they moved him up the order and he finishes one of the best batsmen in the tournament. So England have too many top order batsmen.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you this, though. You've reeled off finishers, strike rates there. Is Joss Butler not a finisher? Would you not say he's a finisher?
The difference with Joss, though, and we've seen this time and time again, we saw it against Australia at the Rose Bowl last year, we saw it in South Africa, we saw it for Rajasthan, we've seen it here today in Ahmedabad. The guy's that versatile, he can do both. But if you want to have, let's face it, Joss Butler is one of England's greatest ever white ball batsmen today
without
so
a
far.
doubt,
Up there with Kevin Peterson, Owen Morgan. He is one of the best without a shadow of a doubt. And I know it's cliche, but you want your best T20 batsman, a bit like Pakistan do with Babar. You want these guys facing potentially as many deliveries as possible. He's not someone like Jason Roy who needs to go out there and smash it from ball 1. Yes, he does. He has that little air of innovation about his game and enterprise, Mr. 360 as we call him. But the fact with Joss Butler, he can bat through an innings. He is good enough. He showed that tonight. He took the responsibility upon his shoulders and produced a match-winning 83 not out. So for me, again, and this is the problem because we have so many top-order batsmen, we really do. And it's both a blessing and a curse, isn't it? Because it makes that top 6 so difficult because we even have middle-order batsmen who can come in. But at the same time, are you willing to sacrifice that real 100-mile-an-hour start from Roy and Bairstow, 2 guys who have really, in my opinion, cemented their places at the top? They deserve it. They've been brilliant for the past 3 series. Do you sacrifice Joss Butler's place there because he can also finish? What's your thoughts on that, Joe?
Again, it's a very interesting debate. And you mentioned you want your best player to face the most balls. So does that mean Darren Milan should not open? But he's the best player in the world, technically. Does that mean he should not open? If you want your genuine, but there's still not. But he could only face 119 balls. That's still not as many balls as he could. What if off that one ball he hit a boundary and he's getting less runs? So if you want your best player to be facing as many balls as possible, Darren Milan should open. And you could argue, alongside Joss Butler. And then is Jason Roy one of your best players? No, so he moves down the order. Is Owen Morgan one of your best players? Yes, so he goes up to 3. If that's your argument, then again, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but I'm just suggesting, you could then that changes the whole dynamic of a cricket team. Because if you want your best, a T20 team, because if you want your best players, look at RCB. Would you want De Villiers to open the batting?
No, but would like Kohli.
Okay. But so Kohli and De Villiers are RCB's best players. So if those two open the batting, would you be happy with that?
There's one difference though, because we're talking here in theory with regards to De Villiers. De Villiers isn't a specialist opener. Milan isn't a specialist opener either. They're specialist 3 and 4s. But Butler and Stokes are versatile enough to be both. But Joss Butler has actually cemented himself as an opener. That's the difference.
But has Stokes been given a
specialist finisher? Well, no, he hasn't. But Ben Stokes is there as an all-rounder, and we're looking at his stats. I haven't even mentioned his bowling stats just yet. But since 2019, since January, he's got an overall economy rate of 10, at the end of the death, 12.2 runs and over. In the power play, 13.1 runs and over. Basically, England's role for Ben Stokes is to be a power hitter, which for the time being, or at least since 2019, hasn't been done to the extent of Moeen Ali, for example. His strike rate is 168, which is 11 more than Ben Stokes is. And even then, we're just going to get a couple of overs out of him in the middle overs. He's going for 8.6 and over, and that's a strike rate of 19. That's what I'm saying. Ben Stokes is one of the best players on the planet, but we can't utilise him correctly. So this is a genuine question now, not just for yourself, Joe, but for anyone out there. How do we get the best out of Ben Stokes? He's never got a T20 century. He hasn't even got a half century in T20 international cricket, which is absolutely crazy. How do we get the best out of one of the world's best all-rounders without sacrificing that top four? Because for the time being, we can't seem to make that adjustment.